Earth in the near future stands on the edge of uncertainty. A fractured alliance of nations struggles to maintain uneasy cooperation in the face of growing external threats. Humanity has advanced in technology, but remains confined to its planet, with space travel still in its infancy. Despite advancements in AI, cyber warfare, and global defense, the world remains divided. Reports of anomalies beyond the asteroid belt surface, dismissed by officials as sensor malfunctions and hoaxes. However, deep within military intelligence circles, some see the patterns and recognize an undeniable truth. Something is approaching Earth. Captain Elias Vance, a retired Special Forces leader, sits in a dimly lit command center, scanning intercepted reports. His fingers hover over satellite imagery, displaying unknown objects moving in formation. The pattern is deliberate, coordinated. As he studies the data, a junior officer hesitantly reports that satellite networks confirm multiple unidentified objects slowing down as they approach Earth. The officer's voice is laced with apprehension. Elias exhales, his instincts screaming that this is not a drill. He issues a direct order to global defense networks, warning them that an unknown force is inbound. His message is simple: humanity is not alone. Above the planet, the sky darkens. Massive warships appear in Earth's orbit, blocking out the stars in a terrifying display of overwhelming force. A worldwide broadcast is hijacked. Every screen, every device, every frequency is overtaken by a single message. The towering figure of Lord Vakra, Supreme Commander of the Zor Dominion, glares down at humanity. His reptilian features remain impassive as he delivers the ultimatum: humanity, your time is over. Submit or be erased. The signal echoes across the world. Fear spreads like wildfire. In the streets, people freeze, staring at the sky. Some scream, some pray, others run, though there is nowhere to go. The illusion of human supremacy shatters. Panic grips governments. Emergency meetings are held in underground bunkers. Satellite images confirm the worst. These warships dwarf anything built by human hands. The scale of their fleet is incomprehensible. Leaders scramble for answers, but none come. They are not here for diplomacy. The first strike arrives without. Warning, from orbit the Zor unleash devastating energy-based bombardments. Within hours, New York, Beijing, London, and Moscow are reduced to rubble. Flames engulf the ruins of civilization. The destruction is surgical, efficient. The world's most powerful nations fall in a single night. Earth's defenses, built for human wars, are useless. Fighter jets launch to retaliate, only to be eradicated mid-air by Zor energy weapons. The skies become a graveyard of human ambition. In an underground command center, Dr. Lena Carter, an expert in cyber warfare, frantically works to restore global communications. Every attempt is met with failure. The Zor jamming technology is beyond anything Earth has encountered. She watches helplessly as live feeds from military outposts vanish one by one. Nearby, Sergeant Rafael Torres, stationed at a hidden bunker, looks out at what was once a thriving city. In minutes, it has become nothing but charred ruins. Governments collapse. The chain of command disintegrates. Humanity's era of dominance ends in fire and silence. In a final, desperate act, Earth's leaders authorize a nuclear response. The missiles are launched, streaking toward the Zor motherships. The world holds its breath. Explosions bloom in the sky, only to dissipate harmlessly against the impenetrable energy shields of the invaders. The plan fails. The war is lost before it ever began. The global transmission flickers. The face of Lord Vakra returns. His laughter is low, guttural. How quaint! His contempt is absolute. One by one, human military bases fall. Soldiers are slaughtered or taken as prisoners. Some are executed live on intercepted broadcasts, a message to any who dare resist. Humanity's final message to the invaders is a simple declaration. We will never surrender. Lord Vakra merely smirks before ordering his forces to continue the purge. In the ruins of the old world, the last embers of resistance take shape. Elias Vance, along with a handful of soldiers, disappears into the underground tunnels that stretch beneath the shattered remains of civilization. These dark corridors become humanity's last refuge, a hidden network of survivors determined to fight back. Among them, Lena Carter salvages the remnants of a downed alien drone. If she can reverse engineer its systems, she may find a way to disrupt Zor technology. She works in silence, her fingers moving with practiced precision. Torres rummages through old military stockpiles, modifying outdated EMP weapons in the hopes of finding a weakness in the Zor armor. The survivors gather. Some are soldiers, others scientists, hackers, engineers, ordinary people forced into an extraordinary war. They share the same haunted look, the same quiet fury. The world above may be lost, but the fire of human defiance still burns. Elias stands before them, his voice steady despite the weight pressing on his shoulders. They think we're finished. They think we'll beg. Let's teach them how wrong they are. Lena barely glances up from her work, muttering, "If we can hack their tech, we can turn it against them." Torres smirks as he tests the first modified EMP device. "Time we don't have, but I'll make do." The underground bunkers become the last strongholds of human survival. Scattered across the ruins of civilization, old military bases, abandoned subway stations, and nuclear shelters transform into command centers for the resistance. The remnants of Earth's defenders gather in the dimly lit corridors, their faces worn, but eyes filled with defiance. Elias Vance moves through the crowded war room, his voice sharp and commanding as he calls survivors to order. Soldiers, hackers, and engineers, men and women from every background, respond to his leadership. He is no longer just a soldier, he is the architect of survival. Satellite images paint a grim reality. Every major city is now a wasteland of smoldering ruins. The air above them belongs to the Zor. Supply lines are crippled, communications fragmented. Humanity is outgunned, outmatched, and on the brink of annihilation. Yet no one speaks of surrender. The silence between orders carries an unspoken promise. This is not over. Dr. Lena Carter sits hunched over a console, her fingers moving with practiced speed across an array of screens. She intercepts fragments of an alien transmission, filtering through layers of encryption. At first, the signals are a garbled mess, but then the words become clear. The Zor do not see Earth as an enemy. They see it as a test. The true invasion force has not yet arrived. This fleet is only a forward detachment, gathering data, measuring resistance. If humanity falls quickly, more will come. Her breath catches as she isolates a vulnerability. The Zor's overconfidence is their weakness. Their technology operates under tight, encrypted communication networks, but their reliance on automation leaves them open to infiltration. She flags the anomaly and rushes to Elias, her voice urgent. They think this is just a trial, but we can turn their own tech against them. Rafael Torres and his strike team move through the dark tunnels beneath what was once a thriving city. The mission is dangerous. Retrieve a downed Zor scout drone and bring it back to base. The wreckage is still smoldering when they find it, its sleek alien design reflecting the glow of fires in the distance. The team works quickly, prying open the outer shell and extracting its core systems. Back in the lab, Torres dissects the drone's inner workings, his hands steady despite the exhaustion weighing on him. The technology is sleek, terrifying in its precision, but something stands out. The Zor war machine is heavily reliant on AI logistics. Every drone, every attack force, every supply drop is coordinated through a centralized network. Their strategy is efficient, but it lacks adaptability. Through trial and error, Torres forces a hard override, breaking through firewalls, and suddenly the drone responds. A weapon of the invaders, now controlled by human hands, Lena's intercepted data and Torres's hacked drone reveal an undeniable truth. The Jaw's greatest strength is also their Achilles heel. Their entire war machine functions under rigid, predictive systems, optimized for control but not chaos. They do not understand adaptability, deception, or guerrilla warfare. They cannot compute desperation or human defiance. If the AI network is disrupted, their entire strategy will collapse. Elias listens in silence as the pieces fall into place. His mind sharpens, calculating possibilities. The old rules of war no longer apply. The only way to win is to make Earth ungovernable, to turn the battlefield into a place where the Jaw cannot function. He looks to his people, weary but ready, and lays out the plan. Cyber attacks will be launched to disrupt supply chains and communications. EMP strikes will cripple AI-controlled units. Decoy human movements will force Zor commanders into confusion, making them second-guess their own systems. Everything must be unpredictable, relentless, a war they cannot calculate. The resistance does not have superior firepower, but they have something better: chaos, the kind that no machine can predict, no AI can control. Elias grips the edge of the war table and speaks with finality. They expect us to fight like them. We won't. We fight like humans. The room is silent for a moment, then the spark of rebellion ignites. The first strike against the invaders is no longer a question of if, but when. Scattered human cells strike from the ruins, their movements swift, their tactics ruthless. The remnants of Earth's military, once bound by structured warfare, have become ghosts in the wastelands. They move in the shadows, launching hit-and-run attacks on Zor patrols, targeting supply convoys, and striking command outposts before vanishing into the wreckage of their own fallen cities. The Zor, built for large-scale planetary conquest, struggle to contain an enemy that refuses to engage them head-on. EMP traps are deployed in critical locations, taking down Zor machines mid-march, leaving armored walkers to collapse into the streets like fallen titans. Ground forces, unaccustomed to direct combat without AI coordination, are forced to engage in close-quarters battles where human unpredictability reigns supreme. Makeshift drones, scavenged and rebuilt from both human and Zor wreckage, sweep through occupied zones, disrupting communication relays and sowing panic among the invaders. The Zor begin to understand that human adaptability is more dangerous than they had ever anticipated. In the depths of an abandoned research facility, Dr. Lena Carter leads a team of infiltrators through the wreckage of a former government black site. The Zor have established a data node here, a local hub for their planetary network. Carter's team works in coordinated silence, slipping past sentries and automated turrets before breaching the facility's security. The alien encryption is layered and sophisticated, but within hours they break through. False orders are sent to Zor units, diverting reinforcements to non-existent uprisings. Entire battalions are rerouted into ambushes or sent to deserted locations, while strategic supply convoys disappear into human hands. The Zor war machine, designed for efficiency and dominance, begins to falter under the weight of unpredictability. Carter's greatest discovery, however, comes when she isolates fragments of corrupted data, proof that the alien AI struggles to adapt to unstructured, chaotic warfare. The invasion force is not prepared for an enemy it cannot predict. Torres leads a small strike team deep into enemy-occupied territory, their mission clear: capture a high-ranking Zor commander alive. Intelligence suggests that a senior officer oversees supply operations from a base within the ruins of Chicago. The team moves under cover of night, bypassing patrols and deploying signal jammers to avoid detection. The ambush is swift and brutal. Gunfire, explosions, and the snarls of dying Zor soldiers. The commander is subdued, shackled, and dragged back to a resistance stronghold. Under interrogation, he remains silent at first, his reptilian eyes burning with disdain. But as Carter feeds him false data, making him believe the Zor fleet is failing, he begins to speak. He reveals the truth. The invasion force's reliance on centralized AI coordination is both its strength and its weakness. If the main network is compromised, the entire operation will collapse. The resistance has what they need to change the tide of war, but they must act before the Zor adapt. Elias Vance sits alone in the war room, staring at a map of occupied territories. His next decision will define the future of the resistance. Intelligence reports indicate that a massive Zor force is mobilizing for an extermination sweep, set to wipe out entire resistance cells. A plan is formed, a decoy operation to lure them into a kill zone, an ambush that could cripple their command structure. The catch: the operation requires using a city full of refugees as bait. The room erupts into argument. Some say the sacrifice is necessary, that humanity cannot afford morality in war. Others argue that becoming monsters is worse than losing. The weight of leadership settles heavily on Elias. His hands shake as he weighs the cost. No choice is without blood, but which will stain him more. The Zor recognize the growing resistance and respond with overwhelming brutality. They deploy extermination teams, systematically wiping out entire refugee zones, executing survivors, and rounding up prisoners for unspeakable experiments. Cities once filled with survivors become killing fields. The resistance watches in horror, but horror breeds rage. For every life taken, 10 more humans rise in defiance. The atrocities fuel the fire of rebellion, uniting fractured resistance groups into a singular force. What was once desperation becomes determination. The war is no longer about survival, it is about vengeance. The resistance launches its boldest attack yet, targeting a Zor mothership stationed over New York. The operation is reckless, desperate, but necessary. Using reverse-engineered Zor technology and scavenged nuclear warheads, the plan is to break the Zor orbital command structure. Fighters on the ground coordinate with cyber attacks from below, jamming their targeting systems while humans strike. Teams assault key power relays. The battle is chaotic and brutal. Zor warriors, expecting an easy occupation, find themselves overwhelmed as human guerrillas engage them in the ruins of their own occupation zones. The sky burns as stolen alien weapons detonate against the mothership's defenses. In the final moments, as the flagship's shields flicker and fail, a single modified missile, armed with a warhead from humanity's darkest days, strikes true. The Zor command vessel erupts in a cascade of fire, its wreckage falling like a dying star. For the first time, the Zor know fear. They are not invincible. The war is no longer one-sided. News of the New York victory spreads like wildfire. Resistance cells across the world rise up, striking hard and fast. The Zor's planetary control begins to fracture. With their AI malfunctioning, their logistics crumbling, their forces scattered, the invasion begins to collapse. Humanity is no longer a species struggling to survive. They are a force, reclaiming what was stolen. Elias, Lena, and Torres stand at the heart of it all, preparing for the final phase of their war. It is no longer about endurance, no longer about holding on. Now it is about taking Earth back. Dr. Lena Carter works in a dimly lit underground bunker, her fingers moving across the console with mechanical precision. The virus is ready, a digital plague designed to infiltrate and corrupt the Zor's AI-driven fleet. The code is precise, a weapon crafted from lines of data capable of bringing down the technological behemoth that governs their war machine. The countdown reaches 0, and with a single keystroke, she unleashes it. The virus spreads like wildfire through the Zor command network, burrowing into their encrypted systems. Firewalls fail, security protocols collapse, and automated defenses turn against their own fleets. The first signs of chaos appear as ships begin misfiring, targeting friendly vessels as their targeting systems fail. A battle erupts within their own ranks, an armada tearing itself apart in the vastness of space. From Earth, the Resistance watches in awe as the sky burns, Zor warships turning on one another, their formations breaking apart. The unbreakable fleet is now an uncoordinated frenzy of destruction. Rafael Torres leads a strike team into orbit, using captured Zor explosives to sabotage their remaining strongholds. Their mission is simple: sever the last chains holding the Zor invasion together. With the AI malfunctioning, their explosives rip through reinforcement ships, setting off cascading detonations that leave the once mighty war fleet crippled. Fire spreads across the void, massive shockwaves tearing through enemy formations. Without their reinforcements, the Zor ground forces are trapped, their support severed. For the first time, Earth is not the one surrounded. It is the Zor who are now caught in a war they no longer control. Elias Vance moves through the ruined streets of the occupied city, leading the final push toward the Zor command center. Explosions shake the ground, resistance fighters overwhelming enemy forces through sheer aggression and unpredictability. The Zor warriors fight viciously, but the humans press forward, using guerrilla tactics to exploit every gap in their defenses. Smoke fills the corridors as Elias's team breaches the command chamber, their weapons raised. Beyond the wreckage, past the burning control panels and dying alien soldiers, the Supreme Warlord awaits. The Supreme Warlord stands in the heart of the shattered command center, clad in ornate Zor battle armor, his scaled form towering over Elias. He sneers at the human before him, eyes filled with disdain. "You are insects," he growls. "Unfit for the stars." Elias remains silent, gripping his combat knife. The warlord moves first, his massive clawed fist swinging toward Elias, who barely dodges in time. The duel is brutal, a clash of raw strength against human ingenuity. Elias uses speed, striking at weak points, avoiding direct confrontation. The warlord, powerful but rigid in his movements, begins to falter, a misstep, a feint. And then the final strike. Elias drives the blade deep into the warlord's throat. The alien gasps, his eyes widening in realization. His final words escape in a whisper. "You were never prey." He collapses, and with him, the Zor's rule over Earth dies. The command center is in ruins. The Supreme Warlord is dead. Panic spreads through the Zor ranks. Their forces, dependent on a rigid command hierarchy, begin to collapse. Some surrender, their morale shattered. Others flee in blind terror, abandoning their posts, desperate to escape Earth's relentless resistance. Human forces seize the moment, launching a final offensive. No longer the hunted, they become the hunters. The Zor, once conquerors, are now nothing more than remnants of a failed invasion. The Zor fleet is in disarray. The once imposing warships, each a marvel of alien engineering, now drift through space like broken relics. Where there were coordinated formations, there is now nothing but chaos. Automated systems, crippled by Lena's virus, misfire, and the ship's AI-driven minds, turn against each other in an orgy of self-destruction. The Zor are no longer invincible. They are shattered, fragmented. On the Zor command vessel, the highest-ranking officers scramble to salvage the situation. Communications are a mess. Distress signals echo through the channels, but there is no response. No reinforcements are coming. The realization sinks in. Earth, this insignificant primitive world, has brought their entire empire to its knees. The Jaw commanders exchanged desperate glances. Earth was never meant to be a challenge, and yet it has cost them everything. The warships retreat, not in victory, but in utter defeat. The invaders are no longer warriors. They are refugees, fleeing the very world they thought they would conquer. Human forces surge forward, unrelenting, using every piece of Zor technology they've captured to turn the tide. The once mighty alien warships are now human-controlled, their weapons aimed at their own kind. The battle rages on in space, but now it is humanity on the offensive. Torres, leading a small strike team, boards a damaged Zor destroyer. The crew is in disarray, their systems malfunctioning, their unity shattered. With a steady hand, Torres takes control. A flick of a switch, a press of a button, and their own weapons are turned against them. Explosions ripple across the void. Jaw ships fall victim to their own technology. For the first time in their lives, the Jaw know fear. Earth's defenders are no longer simply surviving. They are hunting them relentlessly. And the hunters are not stopping until they have wiped every last trace of the invader from their world. On the Zor homeworld, the decision is made. The Jaw High Command sends out one final transmission, an order to retreat. Earth, once seen as an easy conquest, has become a tomb for their empire. Their forces are scattered, their fleets decimated, and their leadership in chaos. The message is clear: cut their losses. The humans are no longer just a nuisance. They are a force to be reckoned with, and the price of victory is no longer worth the cost. As the last warships begin to vanish into the void, retreating into the depths of space, humanity stands victorious. The Jaw are gone. Their once proud fleet now nothing but a shadow in the distance. Earth has won, and the galaxy will remember. Earth is a battlefield. The cities that once gleamed with human achievement lie in ruins. Skyscrapers, once symbols of civilization, are reduced to twisted metal and ash. The air is thick with dust, the echoes of a world on the brink of annihilation. Elias, Lena, and Torres stand amidst the wreckage. The weight of victory hangs heavy on them. They have won, but at what cost? Families have been torn apart, entire populations wiped out. The Earth that remains is a broken shell of its former self, but it is still theirs. As Elias surveys the destruction, he speaks quietly. We didn't just survive, we took back what was ours, but it's not enough, not yet. Lena places a hand on his shoulder. We have to rebuild, and we will. The resistance, no longer a fractured rebellion, has become something more, a foundation for a new world. But the war has changed them all, and the scars will never fully fade. In the aftermath, the world is reborn, not as separate nations, but as one united species. The old divisions, the petty conflicts of the past, have faded away. The survival of the human race has forged a new path, one where all of Earth's inhabitants stand as one. The technology salvaged from the Zor fleet is studied, adapted, and integrated into humanity's arsenal. The war has shown them what they are capable of, what they can accomplish when they put aside their differences and unite. The stars are no longer out of reach. Elias, standing before the new Council of Earth, delivers a message that echoes across the globe. We were prey, we were hunted, but we are no longer. Never again. The once imposing Zor war machines now lie in pieces scattered across Earth's desolate surface. Alien technology, once the stuff of nightmares, is now in humanity's hands, ripe for dissection and study. Scientists work feverishly, their eyes wide with awe and dread as they pry apart Zor energy cores, reverse engineer faster-than-light drives, and examine the lethal weapons that once threatened to wipe out humanity. Dr. Lena Carter, hunched over, a workbench in a makeshift lab, connects wires to a Zor power core. A hum fills the room as energy surges through the foreign technology, far beyond anything humanity has achieved. Her heart pounds, not just from the excitement of discovery, but from the realization of what this could mean. "We can do this," she whispers to herself, barely believing the words. For the first time in history, humans are no longer struggling to catch up. They are not the students, they are the innovators. The fear of alien conquest is now tempered with the thrill of creation. Human ingenuity, powered by alien technology, is breaking new ground, and the galaxy has no idea what's coming. The vast, sprawling shipyards around Earth come alive as humanity's first warships are constructed. It's not just the massive scale of the ships that stirs awe, but the way human craftsmanship and alien technology have merged seamlessly. Zor hulls are reinforced with human-engineered alloys. Alien propulsion systems have been made more efficient, more adaptable. The assembly lines are filled with people, not just scientists and engineers, but ordinary civilians too. They are all part of this dream, this rebirth. Where once humanity fought alone on the ground, now they fight together in the sky. Elias Vance stands atop the observation deck of the shipyard, watching as the final components of the flagship are lowered into place. The sleek, imposing craft dwarfs the men and women around it. His mind races, but his expression is calm. "We're not just building ships," Lena says beside him. "We're building a future for all of us." Elias nods, his gaze drifting to the stars. Earth is no longer just a planet, it's a launching point, a springboard for humanity to reach the stars. And for the first time, they're in control of their destiny. In the cold, infinite expanse of space, a lone Zor survivor drifts. His ship is barely functional, damaged beyond repair after the final battle, but he has one final duty. With trembling hands, he activates the transmission system, sending out a desperate, frantic message to any who might listen. "Do not return to Earth. We thought them weak. We were wrong." The message echoes through the void, a chilling warning from a species that once believed they could conquer the galaxy. It reaches distant star systems, where other alien species listen in stunned silence. Some laugh, dismissing it as the ravings of a defeated foe. Others, however, grow quiet. Across the stars, a question lingers in the minds of those who hear the message. What have humans become? Humanity's new space fleet is ready, its ships gleaming under the light of distant stars. The massive shipyards continue to hum with activity as the first interstellar fleet is constructed, humanity's answer to the galaxy's looming unknowns. Elias, Lena, and Torres stand together on the bridge of the Earth's flagship, their eyes scanning the infinite blackness of space. "We've built this with our hands," Elias says, voice steady but heavy with meaning. "And we're not just going to defend Earth anymore. The stars are our battleground now." Lena, her face illuminated by the glow of the star charts, meets his gaze. "They thought we were weak. Let's show them just how wrong they were." Torres leans against the command console, arms folded, a slight grin tugging at the corner of his lips. "Time to take the fight to them, huh?" A subtle shift occurs in the air, a growing intensity as humanity stands at the precipice of something new. No longer will they cower on their homeworld, waiting for war to find them. The fight will be theirs to choose. The galaxy is vast, but humanity is coming, and this time, the Zor, or anyone else, will not be the ones deciding the future.